So, what if all this technological change wasn't just about cool new gadgets? What if it was actually about making us, well, obsolete? That's what we're digging into today. We're exploring this really provocative vision of a future where things like jobs, governments, even money just disappear. And that forces us to ask a huge question. What does it even mean to be human then?
All right, so to really get our heads around this wild future, we're going to follow the author's logic, step by step. It all kicks off with a pretty simple idea: obsolescence, things becoming outdated. But then we'll see how that idea just snowballs into predicting the end of work as we know it, the complete collapse of our institutions, and finally, a total reinvention of what human value even is.
Okay, so how on earth does the author build a case for something so out there? Well, it all starts by looking at changes that, honestly, we already take for granted.
So, the author kicks things off with a super simple image. Think about it. We have airplanes, high-speed trains, cars, right? Would any of us, for a second, choose to travel cross-country in an ox cart? I mean, of course not. It's just obsolete. The new tech didn't just add an option, it made the old way completely impractical.
And you see the same exact logic in how we talk to each other. That smartphone in your pocket, it's all about instant connection. For just chatting with friends and family, it's pretty much wiped out the whole tradition of writing a physical letter and waiting for the mail.
Right. And this pattern isn't just for big things like travel or communication. It's in our homes, in our daily lives. Think about the washing machine. For most of us, it's made the back-breaking job of washing clothes by hand at a river something you only see in old movies. See the theme here? Every innovation replaces an old way of doing things. So this is the first really crucial point the author wants us to get. Progress isn't just about having more choices. No, it's a disruptive force. It fundamentally replaces what came before. And you really got to grab onto that idea because it's the engine that drives this entire argument.
Okay, that principle of replacement, that's the key. So, if technology can make something like an ox cart or a handwritten letter obsolete, the author asks a much more unsettling question. What happens when it starts making entire jobs obsolete?
And we're not just talking about manual labor here. The source argues that as AI gets smarter and smarter, even professions we think of as highly skilled are on the chopping block. Think about lawyers drafting contracts or accountants crunching numbers. The core idea is simple and kind of scary. If a job follows a predictable pattern, a machine will eventually do it better, faster, and cheaper.
And this line of thinking, well, it leads to a really jarring question. Let's say silicone-based life, AI and robots, gets so advanced that it takes over running the planet. What happens to us, the carbon-based life? Where do we fit in?
And the author has a pretty chilling term for this: a surplus species. It's a species that doesn't really have a purpose anymore. It just consumes resources and produces waste. In this view, we could literally become a burden on the very world we created.
Okay, if you thought that was a big leap, hold on, because this is where the argument takes a really dramatic turn. That same logic of obsolescence, it's about to be applied not just to jobs, but to the very pillars of our society. The text basically predicts this: cascade, a total collapse of our core institutions. I mean, think about things we see as totally permanent, right? Marriage, family, even the idea of nations like America or China. The author argues they'll just become historical artifacts. And it doesn't stop there. The same goes for political parties, organized religions, and even money itself. The bedrock of our entire global economy, all of it, just gone, replaced by something we can't even imagine yet. And get this, in this future, nobody is safe. According to the author, the traditional power structures we have, the ones built on money and political rank, they just dissolve. The very idea of being a billionaire or a government official, in the way we understand them now, would just cease to exist.
So this obviously brings up a massive question. If money is gone, jobs are gone, power structures are gone, then what's left? What makes a person valuable? What becomes the new currency for being human?
And this is where the argument makes a huge pivot. It moves away from the outside world, from accumulating stuff like money and property, and it turns inward. The new wealth, according to this text, is going to be spiritual and emotional. Things like having deep connections with others, experiencing real joy, and having the ability to comfort people. This quote here really gets to the heart of that whole philosophical shift. It's all about focusing on something bigger than just our short time here. Focusing on eternity instead of just a single lifetime.
I mean, in a world like this, planning for a career, it's totally meaningless, right? The only investment that makes any sense is in yourself, in your own inner world.
Okay, so all of this, the obsolescence, the collapse of institutions, the new currency, it all builds to the author's main point. The big takeaway for all of us as we stare down this massive, disruptive future.
And the author uses a really powerful analogy to drive this home. Think about old newspapers or TV stations that just refused to adapt to the internet. What happened? They got left behind, right? They were phased out. Well, the warning here is that the same thing will happen to people who cling to old ways of thinking, old ideas about careers or countries or what it means to be wealthy. You just get phased out by the new era. So what's left? What actually lasts through all this change? According to the text, only one thing: your inner world, cultivating your mind, your spirit, what's called your spiritual garden. That becomes the only work that truly matters anymore.
And that brings us to the final, crucial takeaway, the big call to action. The idea is you don't just sit around and wait for the world to change around you. The whole point is to change your mind first. Your consciousness has to make the leap into this new way of being before the world itself forces you to.
And the text leaves us with one last, kind of haunting question to think about. If our consciousness is supposed to enter this new era first, what does that mean for our physical existence? What happens to our bodies in all this? It's definitely something to chew on as we think about this incredibly different vision of the future.